Now, witches are very curious people.
Hello and welcome to The Witching Hour, a monthly podcast for the creative horror fan, where we discuss topics related to the horror genre, from creepy, history, lore, media, and just about anything we want. All with the hope that we can inspire and motivate you to create your own horror. My name is Sade.
I'm Ravel.
And I'm Ophelia.
And it is still October for us. It is actually October 30th for us, and I wanted to announce the winners of our jack-o'-lantern carving contest this episode, but I realized because we extended the deadline, we still have a few hours before we cut off the deadline for submission, so we don't actually know who the winners are. But I have seen some fabulous entries so far. If anyone wants to see the entries and some additional photos that we got, along with some pumpkins that Ravel and I carved, head over to creativehorror.com, where you can see the jack-o'-lantern gallery that will have the this year's winners and some other photos. And along with that, it is officially NanoWriMo time.
Woohoo!
This episode's going out on the 1st, so we will have officially started NanoWriMo. At least Ravel and I have. Ophelia will be cheering us on in the sidelines.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially, yes. So we thought that for this episode, also because I will confess, in putting together the extra episode for October, our Murder House episode, I entirely spaced on the fact that we would need an episode immediately after for November.
So time to wing it.
Yeah, so this is going to be much more casual of an episode, just a casual discussion. We decided to talk about writing, our personal do's and don'ts, and we do have some questions from listeners that we'll attempt to answer.
Sorry, I'm struggling to breathe all over your podcast.
That's fine, as long as you are still able to breathe and do the podcast.
As long as you're still alive.
Yes.
I ate too many Red Robin leftovers.
Oh my goodness.
Mm.
I also ate essentially garbage and threw in one of those Tostinos, like $1 microwavable pizzas.
Oh no, I haven't had one of those in forever and I love them.
I know, I'll get
They're
them.
garbage
like,
and they're the
they're
best.
complete garbage. I'll eat them like maybe once a year. I'll like buy a few once a year and then kind of eat them for a month.
Yeah, right, until you get sick of them and then you have to wait forever before you can eat them again.
Yeah. And they're like square shaped now. So what I do is I just go
what?
I roll it and just eat it like a burrito.
Oh shit.
Shamefully.
Pizzaritos. Shame pizzaritos.
Yes.
Oh, I want to try one now. I spend a lot of time ashamed.
Don't we all?
It's true.
So that's what I've been up to, I guess, since we last recorded. Since we last recorded, I also have finished reading all of the Captive Prince series. As Ravel got to listen to me talk about yesterday. Mostly just me almost cry in their car about the one character, Laurent, who is my Lord and Savior now, and I aspire to be like him.
Oh god.
I'm still just shook by the fact that you said you wouldn't marry Bakugo. I don't know who you are, apparently.
So Ravel also came over yesterday to carve some pumpkins with me because we were going to live stream again this year, us carving some jack-o'-lanterns, but we discovered that we couldn't do mobile live stream on YouTube anymore because we haven't met their quote-unquote threshold.
Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah, thanks. So that was unfortunate, but Ravel stuck around and we carved some pumpkins anyway, and the conversation came up of, like, which characters would you kill, fuck, and marry? Or what was it? We also added kiss on there.
I think the variation
I did,
was...
in over last night. It hit me last night. Okay. I apologize to listeners for going on this tangent. I said I would marry Laurent from Captive Prince. Fuck Bakugo, and I couldn't think of anyone to kill.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought of it last night. I was going to sleep. Zenitsu.
Fucking Zenitsu. God. That poor boy.
From
That
Demon
poor
Slayer,
boy.
yes. And I will stick with Kageyama from Haikyuu is for Kiss. And that's that. That's that. They're there for listeners, so you're welcome. I might edit that out.
Put it in like the extras, random stuff.
Patron only.
Oh.
I might do that. But that's what I've been up to, carving pumpkins, getting ready for this NanoWriMo November, and what about you guys?
Well, shit. Doodling a lot, but not a
cat boy.
That's on it. I'm literally doing it right now.
Good.
I don't really draw very frequently on my iPad, aka this is my 4th iPad drawing, so like, it's probably not going to be a full body drawing. I don't know what you're going to get out of me, but you'll see.
No, that's fine. As long as it's a cat boy, it doesn't have to be full body. I'll probably do mine after we record tonight, because we promised our listeners cat boys, and we got to deliver.
As I've mentioned, I'm super, super sleepy. So that's a tomorrow thing for me, because I've been up since 6 a.m. and I am ready to crash. Goodness gracious. All right, then let's get to the bulk of this episode before I say anything else that's going to embarrass the shit out of me.
I just don't know the characters because I'm an old woman. So that's why I didn't respond.
You're not weeb enough, Ophelia.
Well, you know Bakugo from My Hero Academia.
Yeah, I'm not a weeb enough anymore.
Yeah.
And yes, I do. That's true.
So, NanoWriMo, for those that don't know, is a month-long challenge throughout the month of November where you attempt to sit down and write a full-length novel, which is a minimum of 40,000 words?
50,000.
50,000?
Yeah.
Shit, I thought it was 40.
Oh, you're...
Holy shit, I just figured out how the pressure works on this. Like, it just clicked in my head and like, oh my god, you guys.
Life is good.
I'm an artiste and I'm so high. And for the record, that makes you way better at art. Like, that's my one endorsement of the marriage Juanas. I have many endorsements.
Does it really?
It like, coloring? Oh no, it's incredible. Certain ones. But yeah. Gotcha. That's been a theme I've heard from many a friend.
I'm gonna have to Google this. I feel like it's more of just you're
Google
so high.
Just give it a shot yourself.
It makes colors more vibrant and it makes you more risky.
Yeah,
your dumb high self.
See, that would be my thought process. Is it's like you think it's better because you just kind of go for it.
I would hope it would at least relax you enough, and like, you know how we have we kind of hold back a bit and like, oh no, I don't. If I do that, it might not look good. I feel like you would have less of that limitation.
That's exactly what it is. Really.
I do admittedly there's a part of me, okay, so I'll just be honest, I've never actually done any marijuana before. But there's a part of me that's like, man, I'd love to like try it and then just try to write smut fic, basically.
See, that's what I want to do. I would want to write.
It's legal.
Not specifically smut, but I would want to write to see what I would. But I would have to do it on like the typewriter, so it's not on like digital format that I would like then send to somebody immediately.
Let me just post this immediately. It's just so good.
Well, hey, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that at some point during NanoWriMo. But let's talk writing. All of us here are writers, though some I don't know. I don't think we're all full time, and that we are always writing constantly. For me, it's become a rare occurrence now. Sad to confess. Yeah. And even rarer for me to share the work that I do.
I will say, just because you're saying, like, I double-checked it, the word count. It is 50,000.
It is 50,000? Okay.
Yeah, and that equates to 1,667 words a day.
Yeah, I think I remember writing that down last time I attempted this challenge. I think we talked about it already before, how we're each approaching the challenge differently. But let's talk about how we usually write. So challenge aside, let's say, how do you guys tackle a new idea, or where do you start with a new story?
I gotta start from the beginning.
From, like, the very beginning?
But yeah, I've tried very hard to write out of order, because I hear people say, like, oh, write what you want to write that day or whatever. And it never works for me. Because then I just end up writing that, and then I just don't write anything else. So I have to know how I got to that point in a story.
Mm-hmm. But how do you get to like officially like putting down words on paper? Like, do you just start from the beginning and figure out your characters as you go, or do you actually like pre-plan? Like, how do you, like, let's say right now suddenly a story hit you. You have an idea. Where do you go from there?
I am a pantser, so a lot of times it's just I have an idea and I just go for it. Just start at the beginning and acknowledge that. Huh?
Pantser means you fly by the seam of your pants.
That's right. Because this one of my coworkers just was explaining that to me. All right.
So yeah, and for me,
I was gonna say I do that too, and I couldn't remember what the term was.
Yeah, so for me, it's like I'll start writing, and I just go for it, and I acknowledge that probably first few chapters are going to need reworking as I figure out characters.
Okay.
I mean, that being said, though, I usually do have I usually kind of have a general idea of the character personality themselves, because thinking about it, usually my characters I can at least assign at least an archetype of some sort to. It's like, you're gonna be the smart one who's reserved. You're gonna be the shonen protagonist who's loud and obnoxious, and kind of finding their uniqueness as I go along, I guess I would say. Yeah. But a lot of characters of mine, they develop as I write for them. Mm-hmm. I do struggle a bit to like some people, they're like, this is my character and I 100% know everything about them, and it's like usually I think I do a lot of discovery writing basically with characters,
letting characters kind of tell you who they are as you go, though. That's like some shit that George R. R. Martin did for a little.
Yeah.
It can be fun. It can be fun going that way. I feel like I'm a mix between someone who plans to at least an extent and then also just goes with what their characters decide they want to do.
Uh-huh.
For me, when I get an idea, it's usually, if it's either like a vague premise, I'll get like an idea of a character that immediately attaches to that premise, or I start with a very distinct character. Usually when I start anything, I have a very, very good idea of who my characters are, personality-wise, or like what kind of mindset they have and how they view the world or approach the world. Mm-hmm. But then there's usually a lot of like more of the fine-tuned details of like the way very, very fine-tuned details. Those I love to like find out as I'm writing. But I've also been kind of the person who I can't like jump around in my writing. I usually start at the beginning and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like that often gets me stuck too. But starting with a new story, for me it's a lot of plotting in my head, a lot of like character work in my head, sometimes some worlds. Usually it's also a lot of like scenes, because I'll have like, I want a scene like this, and then I want a scene later on like this. So I end up with a lot of scenes and a lot of like gaps. That's usually where I am when I start on a story. So, like, when I do start writing, it's, like, figuring out all that stuff that I need to fill in.
It is. So here's the thing, too, that I have found. I think the last major thing I think I wrote was a fanfic. And it was really interesting to me because I had this very particular premise in mind. And then once I started to write it, it went a completely different direction. And I think that's, again, because of the pantsers method. It just, there are times where it's just like, this actually ended up completely different than I expected, and I'm okay with that because this is better than my original idea.
Yeah, I've experienced that shit before.
That's why sometimes I just try to write, because I'll think to myself like, I can do all the planning in my head that I please, but I know it won't be really solidified until I actually sit down and write it.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys ever do any pre-planning on paper, or do you just keep it in your head until you're actually typing it out?
I can't work with paper.
Yeah, it's usually just in my head.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'll write things down if I want to keep like a consistent timeline on something.
Mm-hmm. But no, I pretty much have. The only time I ever did it was when I was at work, and I worked at this little office for a while, and we had all these notebooks lying around, and there was kind of this company policy. You weren't really supposed to be sending files to yourself and whatnot because because it was game testing. So that was like
it's like, are you stealing?
Yeah,
intellectual property type, like internal secrets shit.
And of course, I know most people still used Google Drive and were like, whatever, I don't care. But that being said, it kind of became easier for a little while that I would write stuff down on the notebooks we had because we got them for free from the office supply room. So just be like, well, I'll just start writing this out. And it would be like easy to multitask as well because it'd be like waiting for the game to just do something while I'll put my head down for a second and write something while it's doing something,
While it's loading.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Okay.
Yeah. So there was kind of.
What would you? Well, I'm not specifically focused on the fact that it is physical paper, but I'm like, do you like even on Word on like a notepad, like a digital notepad? Do you ever jot down ideas or like a little character bios or whatnot before you start writing the actual story?
Yeah. Because sometimes I'll get something that is just like, shit, I need to write this down. I'm going to forget it.
Yeah.
I keep, I recently started I have a physical notebook that I keep to the side for when I have a sudden idea for like a vague premise for a potential story or something. I write it in that notebook, and if I know it's something like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea, but I do not have the time to even remotely think about that or explore that right now. I'm gonna jot it down in this notebook and I'll look at it one day later.
Oh yeah.
That's yeah.
Relatable.
So it sounds like for the most part, you guys both just do a lot of plotting, do the pre-planning and some plotting in your head, but like the actual chunk of the plot, you guys just figure out as you're going.
Sometimes I'll write down, I will say, as I was trying to figure out this one idea I had, I do like to do world building outside of the story first and foremost. Because there are times where you're just like, this is never going to actually make it into the story, but it's kind of relevant to my
And they kind of recommend that you do that shit too. Like, that you develop your outside world build, even if you don't think you're going to use all of it. Mm-hmm. Because like you don't necessarily use it all, but as long as you have it, it kind of like it lends to the story in like between the lines kind of ways.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I think that's, especially if you're going somewhere where like it's fantasy and it's an entirely separate world from what we're in ourselves,
which is what I use.
It definitely have that world building done prior.
Like I know for me, the last time I was tackling an original thing with I was like, I need to figure out how this government functions because it wasn't going to be a traditional government. And so like I was like, I gotta write down like everybody's place and how does this function. And so I will do that in terms of my planning. I would write down little details about the characters if I knew them. Like, okay, here's, they're from this tribe or they're from this nobility or whatever, because sometimes that can even help, I feel, in the creative process if you can kind of draw back on those ideas you've already established, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I like little silly character details, admittedly.
I do. Like those little weird details, I know I have one character who always gets a cup of coffee but will never ever finish said cup of coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. That's actually
those kind of tiny little, or like how Scott from his comfort food of choice is always hot chocolate, and he'll always make his friends hot chocolate or himself hot chocolate when he's sad.
Aww.
That's one that's come out in our work that we've done together. Those little things, I love those little details.
Yeah.
Okay. One of my questions that I wrote down for us to answer was, how do you plan / plot? But it sounds like we're mostly pantsers.
Which is really, it's like, as long as you kind of know like what you want your beginning to look like, an idea of some of the points that you want to get to, right? Mm-hmm. And like where you want to end.
Man, that's my biggest trouble is sometimes I'm like, I don't know how I want this to end. I kind of don't want it to end.
Yeah, and that's okay sometimes too. Like, especially depending on like what kind of world build you're working with, right?
Okay, well, let's go into since it sounds like for the most part we get our plotting after we've started. We do have one question from friend of the show Zath, who asked how beginning.
How beginning?
How beginning. How do you guys start how do you figure out your opening scene? How do you like figure out what do I want to have happen in the scene? How do I introduce my character?
Into the middle of a dialogue.
Okay.
It can be hard. It depends on like where you want to start, but I enjoy doing that.
It's very grabby.
Yeah, because then you're automatically like, ooh, who are these people? What are they talking about?
What are they talking about? Yeah.
Why do I care?
Like echoes like
then you have to immediately sell it though, right? But that can be fun and kind of challenging, but it is. But I find it fun.
Yeah, well, I think anytime you enter into any situation, whether it's like into a story or you're walking into a room, if there's already something going on, immediately we want to know what it is and like understand our place in it. No, I know that sounds. I might try that. That's a good tactic.
I know for me too is I honestly just go in with the idea of first chapter is probably going to need revisions. It's probably going to be shit. Just the one thing I hear a lot of people say is like, just get words down. Just put it down. Just get it going. Mm-hmm. And so
I've heard that a lot too.
Yeah. So like, I know like there is a story that I worked on in the past, and I don't think I'll ever go back to it because I kind of realized it wasn't as interesting as it needed to be, basically. And, but that being said, it's like I always knew like if I ever did go back to it, 100% I've got to change the beginning because it just doesn't work with where the story ended up going in the first place. So I think that's what I think. Like a lot of people I've seen, or at least I know this one girl on YouTube. She does a writing blog, and she talks about like basically consider your first draft instead of a first draft. It's draft 0. You're not even at step 1. You know, You're starting just at 0, and I think there's a lot of truth to that for me too. It's like there's always that idea of I will probably need to go back and redo the opening at some point to be more dynamic or something.
Anything you put down in draft 0, you need to remember. I think you need to think of it as like you could end up just throwing all of this away.
Yep, exactly.
Is what draft 0 needs to be. Nothing. None of the first draft 0, first draft, second draft. All of it can be tossed. So don't worry about it so much. Just put those words down.
Yeah. That's exactly is kind of getting over the like worry that things have to be perfect the first time that you do them.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah. And like just remember, it's like it's okay. This isn't permanent, right? Yeah. The first time you do it,
no one else has to see that first draft but you.
Yeah.
And you can even deny its existence.
Yeah, that's why
gaslight everybody you even told about it.
That is why people who write fic and post a chapter right after they write it are too powerful, basically.
Yeah.
I see people talk about that all the time. It's like, oh, I just finished this at like 4 a.m. I hope you guys like it. And I'm just like, bitch, what? Like,
don't you want to at least sleep and then look at it? Like,
yeah. And they're just like, by the way, I don't know how many chapters this is going to be. Maybe I'll probably do like 5 or 6. And you're just like, what the? Yeah, what you don't even know. Like, I can't do that. I say, and then I just don't post fic. So, who's the real fool?
I'm soul bonding to this cowboy, just like I thought I would.
Yay.
Hey, rough. Why? Why would you encourage this? He's really cute.
Creativity is good.
Creativity is good, that's right.
Plus, catboys are like the best kind of characters.
Not enough catboys.
That's true. That's extremely true.
Well, Zath also had another question. I think it was Zath who said, how character?
How character. Oh, man.
Actually, I had some interesting advice on that one recently too that I heard, which was take a part of your personality, be it like a flaw that you see in yourself, or something that you're good at, right? And then imagine that to its absolute extreme, and like make that the kind of focal trait of a character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of work different things in around them. And you can kind of build different characters around different aspects of your own personality. Instead of kind of building one character with a lot of you in them. You kind of like put different parts of yourself in each one.
Yeah, no, that rings very true to me in that, like, I've definitely always, in every character that I've created, put at least even, like, even the smallest of detail that I can relate to with them. In that maybe this character simply shares my insane love of chocolate.
Yeah, right?
Right. Or this character is the embodiment of, like, just all of my trashy thoughts.
I wonder who that is. No.
You shut your mouth.
Yeah. What's funny to me though is, I feel like that is the more common way to do it 100%. I don't do that with my characters at all. I think I have this, kind of like I said, these archetypes and I know all these tropes and all of these cliches and stuff. And so I'll kind of, like I said, whenever I see a character and I kind of look at him and I'll go like, okay, you look like you're going to fit this archetype probably, because I like to draw my characters out. And I usually start from there and then try to, because I think it's important not to necessarily, you don't want to just follow the trope to the letter, basically. Yeah. But I can kind of I can kind of get an inkling about you're going to be the rogue with the heart of gold. You're a chaotic neutral, like this type of character or whatever. So but very rarely do I actually feel like this character represents me. I feel like honestly it's like this character appeals to me. And it has very little to actually do with me. Because I think my favorite OC that my friends are actually familiar with is a feminine demon boy who loves fashion and sushi, and I hate all those things. So,
For me, character creation has definitely been always one of my loves. I love creating characters. Ravel knows this very well in that anytime we've done a story
I hate that all I'm drawing is Fujo shit right now, and I'm completely incapable of not. It's I'm I could draw some regular old drawings, but it's nope, it just comes right out looking like this. And I'm okay, fine.
As it should.
Just accept this the way it looks.
Draw what makes you happy, or just what comes naturally, because...
And apparently this is what fucking comes naturally. I had to put clothes on him because I found it inappropriate that he didn't have any.
At least for the version we put out on the podcast.
I mean, it's... Yeah.
Let us know when he has a name.
Oh, God.
Speaking of character creation. But yeah, for me, character creation has always been probably my favorite part of a story, because I've always loved creating characters. The Ravel knows very well that I love characters, because anytime we've done something together, I always, for some reason, seem to have double as many characters as Ravel.
Yeah, you get into it, and you're just like, oh, here we go. Which I do admire, because one of my biggest struggles, I feel, is when we first start an RP, is it'll be okay, well, we have to come up with these characters, and because I am so pantser with my characters half the time, for the most part, it's you'll already be I got this fucker figured out, and I'm just I'm still feeling mine, to be honest. I don't know what he is.
What's funny about that is we actually have the same approach in that I really enjoy figuring characters out on the spot. For some reason they just seem to come more quickly to me, in that usually the archetypes that I have in my head, I don't know how it works. I guess I go back to that thing of okay, well here, what do I have in common with them? But sometimes I don't even figure that out until later in the story, after I've had time working with them for a bit.
I think that's the thing, is characters can be hard, because I do think there is kind of a natural inclination of you feel it or you don't, And if you don't feel it, it's hard for me to relate. That's hard, because I mean, I will get so into a role with a character when I feel them that it's I will cry when my character gets upset. It's it just if you feel that character, it sucks you in. And I think, yeah, some people are just more naturally that they can put themselves into that headspace of someone else. And I think that's why some people do really good with characters, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me pull up another question that is character related. I just gotta find it. While we're on the talk of characters. So, our favorite Australian listener really asks, if you're unhappy with a story.
Were you laughing because she's our only Australian listener?
She's the only one that we know of, but they are.
You're like,
also
the rest of them are fake. If there are any.
If there are any, we don't know. Alright, so Neruli asks, if you're unhappy with a story or character, what are some steps to change that? So
let's it.
That's
not kidding, really.
I know, right? Well, let's focus on if we're unhappy with a character. Let's say we're working on a story. We're really happy with everything but one character. How do you fix it? How would you guys
introduce a new conflict into that character's life specifically? Perhaps.
Kill them.
Okay.
No.
Roll some
things
dice
that I know I have done.
Things
that I know I have done, I have made that character less important until they faded out of the story. Min, for example.
Oh, hey, I remember her.
Yeah. Or I have killed them off. Liza, for example.
Jeez, they're both women.
I know, I feel so terrible.
Oh, yikes.
That's what happens when you introduce female characters into Fujoshi RPs.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, no, we would not, people would not be happy with us. So.
No, they would not. But that's why those RPs are just between us for fun and shits and giggles. Yeah. But I feel like if it was, say, a story that I was working on, I like Ophelia's suggestion of introducing new conflict for them, but I feel if it's like, if everything
it doesn't necessarily have to be bad,
is working out.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to add and, like, divert the rest of the story past, per se, the other characters. I would think, like, well, what if I go back and I just either do a completely flip this character type, or, what if I do just remove them altogether? I think you just have to go back and look at what your options are in terms of that character. Like, do I need this character for one?
Yeah, that was my thought. It's like, because I guess to me, it's like, I don't know if I've ever, I mean, I get it in role play, because sometimes you'll bring a character in and then you'll go through, I'm just not feeling this, you know? I understand that concept, but the idea of, like, if I have a character in a story, they should be contributing in some way in the first place, I guess. It's like, you don't need to have characters that aren't working towards your plot somehow, really?
Yeah.
Unless they are already very much, the only characters that should not be contributing to your plot are background characters, and they don't matter. You can just fade them out whenever,
I think even background characters need to contribute, like, a minutia of, like, there's a reason you need them there in the background.
Right. Yeah, so I think that would be my question is, because my thought is, like, why don't you like them? Is it you don't feel them? You don't like writing for them? If you don't like writing for them, then it's like, yeah, to me, it's just, you just need to rewrite the character.
Yeah, you need to redesign them, give them a whole new personality, maybe, or... All right, well, let's say if you're unhappy with a story overall. Let's say you finished your first draft, and maybe you're finished your second time going through this draft, but you're still unhappy with it.
Trash it. No.
I bury it, and I don't come back and look at it for a year.
I mean, yeah, there's some to that. There is that kind of walk away for a minute, because you will have a different perspective when you come back. For me, though, like, because I did encounter this, I'm trying to think of how I would explain this in a way that someone could utilize it. So, I guess, again, with this story I was writing, I had this moment where I got to this chapter, and I was just like, what connection does this have to everything I've established beforehand? Nothing. And it made it really weak. So I went back and found kind of what I thought the central theme was, because of what had been established in my first couple chapters, and just kind of ran more along the lines of, okay, I'm following this plot thread. So I think that is the idea of like rereading your first couple chapters and trying to figure out like what was I doing here? You know, led to this can sometimes be, and in that case, and then you just trash the chapter. I say trash in the sense of I always make copies and then put it, because I use Scrivener, and I'll just put, move them to my old drafts kind of folder. But yeah, sometimes it is a matter of, you're just gonna have to write from scratch. You're gonna have to go back to zero and just start it again. There is that idea of don't over polish a turd. If you
is that, I've never heard that.
What, polish a turd?
I've heard polish a turd, but not don't over polish it.
Yeah, don't polish a turd in general.
Don't polish a turd, period.
There comes a point where there comes a point where you just have to go, this isn't working, and you just got to start over. You just got to do that chapter 0 again. And it sucks, but sometimes you just got to do it.
I would first walk away from it, take a break from it, don't look at it for a few days. In my case, sometimes a few months, and then come back to it. And if it's still a turd, then get rid of it.
Yep.
And start over.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I will say that I do it with art. I've done it with writing, where I'm really hard on myself at the moment. And then when I come back, I'm kind of like, you know what? This isn't actually that bad. I can work with this. I also kind of tend to go, and I know some people have different opinions on this, go write something else. Go work on another story for a while maybe. And then, because that'll also distance you from what you've been working on.
Yeah.
It'll put you in a different mindset, depending on, I guess, the stories. So one more question from Naru. When you have a very large amount of ideas, how do you not get overwhelmed and get working?
I'm struggling with that right now, actually.
Well, I'm wondering, do you mean by a large amount of ideas for a single story or for multiple stories? Because if it's for, like, multiple stories, write them out separate, like, write down those ideas separately. Like how I mentioned, I have that notebook. I'll write those down, put those aside, think about those later. Yeah. Focus on the one that is really getting your attention, that you're really excited about. If you have a large amount of ideas, like you're overwhelmed with ideas for a single story, that's a little trickier, because that does kind of get you like, oh, well, shit, where do I start? How do I tackle these? How do I organize these?
I know for me, sometimes it's a matter of really honing in on like one character, I feel, and what they're contributing, what their story is. Because if you have like a bunch of ideas, like, oh, this character is going to be this, and this one's going to contribute this, and it's going to go like this, and in traditional writing in general, I see a lot of people like, you don't want to write in like omnipotent POV. You need to just focus on one character, and a lot of people say, like, especially I've heard the advice, if you are an inexperienced writer, don't try to like switch perspectives through chapter switching. Like, just stick to that one character and really just focus on that one character. And again, if you have so many ideas, a lot of it comes down to if you're writing for that one character, you just got to focus on that one character and dump everything else. What everybody else is doing doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think what I would do if it was like multiple ideas, and I don't, maybe with a large cast of characters, like I would want to, and this is just the part of me that likes to organize things, I would probably map out all those ideas and figure out which character do these ideas affect the most, and then maybe tackle the story from that character's perspective, because then I'm at least hitting the ideas that the most ideas that I want to hit. Then also, I think in that process you can figure out, okay, well, this idea, I mean, it sounds like maybe it's a cool scene, but it's not really going to affect the story, or it's not going to really affect enough characters, so I can just get rid of that.
Yeah. There's the old saying, as I recall, is basically, like, you can't put anything into a story if it does not contribute to your plot. Because otherwise people are going to go, wait, what? Like, you have to kind of contain it in that, even if you want to go off and like, I want to explore this aspect of the world, especially like in fantasy and stuff, but there's always that you run the risk, if you do that, now you've kind of got people thinking, oh, okay, is this important? And then if that doesn't come into play later, they're going to feel underwhelmed and frustrated.
Yeah. I think what you have to do is figure out your character that you're gonna go through with the story. And if there's a side idea that you're really attached to and you want to write it, just come back to it later as its own separate little short story, or even. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't fit into the main narrative, you need to take it out. And an abundance of ideas, if you have that many ideas floating around, there's a good chance that a chunk of them are not good ideas. So,
I mean, to be fair, like, that's exactly what Stephen King would say.
Yeah. Kill your darling.
I should take that as a compliment or an insult. But yeah. As someone who often is like, oh, I have all these ideas, be humble enough to know that, okay, chances are not all of them are going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes too, and I've been struggling with this because I have a story right now that it's like, well, I want this and I want this and I kind of want this, and I have had to pull back and just go, but then I can't do this, and I'm gonna have to throw this out, mm-hmm. And sometimes the advice I remember that always stuck out to me when I was in art school was kill your darlings. Sometimes
you were in art school?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. That's where you guys met each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but sometimes
that art school that is no longer.
It is no longer.
We didn't become friends until we found each other standing both outside of the Yowie panel.
Pretty much. That was kind of. Well, I think that was when you were kind of like, okay, maybe she's all right.
Wow.
Yeah. But so it kind of. It really is kind of, wow, my brain just died. Where were we before we went on that tangent? Oh, yeah, kill your darlings. You, sometimes, no matter how much it hurts, you're just going to have to abandon something or let it go. And it hurts, but that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, we have another question. This one is from Creepy Waters on the Patron Discord, who's also Destiny. Hi, Destiny. I hope you like your Halloween package that I mailed. Destiny says, I make up stories in my head all the time, but when it goes to writing down, I always start to second guess myself. What are some ways to get past that issue?
That one's hard.
And I think,
that one's also kind of like, that's another one of the ones where it's like, try not to expect perfection out of yourself immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Is my best advice for that one.
Yeah, and again, it's hard to decide. It's hard to tell alone, is this a good idea, is this a good story, without getting feedback from someone. But like I said earlier, that first draft, those first couple of drafts, you're the only person who needs to see them. When you feel like, okay, I've fleshed something out here, go to a friend that you trust to give you honest feedback, and that's the best way to know.
Yeah, honestly though.
Yeah, it's just, you gotta get it out there and just acknowledge that I might go back and just get rid of all of this, but yeah, I highly recommend it because I've seen so many people say it's like, just get it down. First,
just get it down, work with it until you feel confident, a little more willing to share it, and then take it to someone whose opinion you trust and see what they say. And maybe they'll tell you like, oh, we reworked this, reworked that, or maybe they'll say they really like it. Even then, just, look at it again. I say take your time with it. I'm the kind of, for me personally, am very private about my writing. Like, I will work on something forever before I show, say, Ravel. And Ravel will get a chance to read it, and then I will bury said writing for maybe a year before I pull it out and, consider showing it to anyone else. Mm-hmm. Which is something I really need to get over. I need to just start putting my writing out there, regardless of it being shit or not.
Yeah, it can be hard. That's the thing. Is I know the first time I encountered someone who pretty much kind of told me my writing was crap, kind of thing, but in a nicer way, but kind of not. I think I was 14 at the time. And
did you say 14?
Yeah, I was 14.
Did the person giving you the critique know your age?
Yes.
Okay, I had to ask this because I used to get a lot of critique on shit when I was around that age. That from people who didn't know, and I was like, that just devastated my early fan fiction career, let me tell you.
Yeah, it did. It really hurt. But that being said, it did drive me to become a better writer.
Literally, exactly. Yeah. See, that's why I'm like,
That's the conflict I have, because that's the thing is,
me too.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a matter of sometimes you'll hear it and you'll be hurt, but you're like, well, fuck it, then I'm gonna do better. And then sometimes you will just kill that person.
Somebody's dreams.
Yep. And then they're just like, I'm just done. I'm never gonna do it. I'll never forget the one time I had a fandom friend who was very opinionated on people's fanfic. And we both agreed that this one fic was like, yeah, it's not very in character, it's not very good in terms of blah 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 blah. So she decided to leave this huge comment on and it was all very honest and very true. But guess what? That fic never got updated again after the person bitched on their Tumblr about how upset they were at the comment. So it's
shreds.
Yeah, like I said, it was honest critique done well. It wasn't insulting, but some people just can't do it. And I know
that, I mean, that's something you have to risk if you're gonna put it in an open platform, like fan fiction on Archive of Our Own or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said if you're not a confident writer, it helps to have that friend or two, or that circle of writers that you know. That
I thought you were right about to be like, get out of the kitchen.
No. I will say,
just be ready for that. Like, look, if you're gonna put yourself in an open platform, like I say, go out there and do it. If you want to be sharing your stories, no one else is gonna write your idea the way you would.
Also remember, E.L. James published 50 Shades of fucking Grey. So.
Fuck, don't remind any of us about that, but at the same time, it's an embarrassment.
It's great inspiration that look at how...
we can all do it. That's true, though.
Yeah. It reads 100%. Like, I tried reading, the first...
Oh, I've read it.
Yeah.
I've tried.
It reads like fic written by a 14-year-old. It really does. So don't worry. If you can write at the level of a 13-year-old on fanfiction.net, you never know.
You never know. Yeah.
You just never know with anything.
Your dreams can come true.
I just saw an article recently that also mentioned that I didn't read it, unfortunately. I've been meaning to, but it talked about how badly written erotica was by men in fiction.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Yeah, they were like the worst sex scenes in writing were written by men this year. So
they always are every year, and those are really enjoyable reads.
So it's like, look, there's the implication is there's some shit in publishing. I think that's why I kind of just go with it. Just write what makes you happy and just do it.
And just remember that your ideas are always unique, even if you don't think they are. For the most part.
I see. I also say nothing is original. So even if you say this,
nothing's original, but it's still unique.
Yeah.
See, exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
And that's also that. Yeah.
It can be unique
because it can be both, and that's people don't worry about being obsessed with originality to a certain extent. Write what makes you happy, because your happiness will shine through what you are writing and make it an enjoyable. It usually does make it more enjoyable.
I would say
we always say on this show, fucking create for yourself first.
The advice I would give writers who are like, how do I improve my writing? Number one thing, make sure that you are keeping the same tense throughout your work.
Yeah.
Because boy, does that jump out. Know your grammar. Capitalize your I's. Know where a period goes. Because I swear, if you can at least make it legible, you're better off than a lot of people. So
that's true, though.
And nothing will throw me out of writing faster, even if the prose is decent, than a bunch of bad grammar and typos.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a whole other episode if we're gonna try and teach people grammar.
Oh, yeah.
And not one that I actually really want to do.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, that would be kind of rough and classist.
I'm saying just seek it out. Seek it out. Just seek it out if you don't know. You can, especially if English is your first language, you just go look at how it's written and you can see patterns of like where, new paragraph when people are talking and all that good stuff,
I mean, yeah, and there's like guides.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I highly recommend to people. Keep your tense consistent, because it hurts when you start reading a fic or something and it's just like, ooh, you just switch past tense with present tense several times throughout that paragraph.
Dude, I opened a fanfic today for the first time in a long time.
Oh, well, what fandom was it?
Oh, are you ready for this? Because I don't think you are.
Oh boy, okay.
It's just World of Warcraft. It's World of Warcraft lore characters. That I was just like, they're trying to sell me on this one suddenly. And I was like, you know what? This one, quality. I would like to see this happen. And so then I went on to AO3. And others have also wanted to see this happen. So there was fanfic.
Good job.
And someone's just like in all lowercase, but at the same time, that's the way I talk. And I don't know, aesthetically, I kind of loved it. So at this point, it's like, I don't even care anymore, man. Do what you want. But at the same time, I'm just like, is it smut? Is that all I want? Go for it.
Oh boy. God, yeah. So me, that would get a back button from me real fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it was like, I don't know why. It was like, and it's so funny because it was the fact that I was like, this should bother me. And I was just like, God, I was like, how connected to this like internet nonsense am I now that I'm just like, oh, that's what we're doing now. We're writing fanfic and all in all lowercase. And I'm like, all right. And I was like, okay.
I'm just like, how was prose then? Was it good?
Oh, it was fine. It was really good.
Oh, that's
right?
weird.
Because that's the thing. It's like, it was that stylistic. Now I'm like yelling. But it was that stylistic, like minimalist sort of lowercase. And I was like, you know what? I'll take it. I was like, as long as the prose is actually good, great.
Yeah, just writing comics, fan.
It's like easier to read now.
Well, I mean, it's fine to try new
their own
things.
whole thing now, and I like it. I like what the youths are doing. I'm weird like that.
At the very least, they're writing and they're putting themselves out there, and maybe not everyone likes it all lowercase, but some people might, and they're at least doing their thing.
I gotta say, I urge people to, when you post things, to like archive our own, and if you get a shitty comment from someone, make sure it's not just someone who hates your ship and is being an asshole to be an asshole. Because boy, I saw a couple Twitter posts going around that there was people who were doing that just outright. You're writing, you should give up writing because you're terrible at it, and and it really just came down to, you could tell you just don't like this ship and you're trying to be an asshole.
God, that's some long-standing internet nonsense, ain't it?
Shipping is practically
ship wars. I mean, in general,
we are not going to get into ship wars. We're going to save that
that's fine.
for our April Fool's episode, the shipping hour. Okay.
Shipping. Oh yes, I love it. The shipping.
Okay. Well, getting back to NanoWriMo, and let's say you have a writing project. How do you guys? My question for you guys is, how do you keep focused?
Guys, this pen that I'm using right now in this app is so dope, and I'm so glad I spent $10 on it. Take my money, Procreate. Anyway, I'm sorry, what?
I like the fact that it was a question about focus, and then that was not what Ophelia was.
Ophelia was 100% not focused.
Well,
then I guess I'm gonna direct this question to Ravel instead.
It is a struggle, because sometimes it is a matter of I gotta set up my zone. Like, all right,
I have ADHD, man.
That music, gotta put that music on that I'm gonna write to. Gotta get some white noise going, and you gotta force yourself sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's a matter of just sheer will of getting yourself to sit. At the very least, in terms of like getting started.
Yeah.
That's why they say just put words down and just keep typing, keep writing. Don't worry about
do a lot of free write practices also. That could kind of help you.
Yeah. That definitely would help too.
It's like a couple of fancy programs, and I'm thinking of doing this because I'm very guilty of editing as I go, which they say do not do this. Do not edit as you go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure some people can do it. I think the more practice and just the more hours that say you've logged in just like typing, I think the more you could get away with that. But if you're a new writer Don't even fucking think about grammar or that spelling that we were just complaining about.
Well, that's for
those
editing.
first drafts. Yeah, I'd worry about all that in editing.
What I was going to say that I like is some of these programs you can now set it up where as you are typing, it hides your like last line, basically. Oh. So you
I think you told me about that.
Yeah, so you can't go back and actually see it and read over it and edit it because that's and I am.
Hey, what the frickety frack? I want that, but at the same time, I would go absolutely mad in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think you could set it up in Scrivener. Don't quote me, but I'm gonna try and see if you can. Because my biggest because you have to hit that 16,000 word count. I mean 1,600, not that.
Yeah, that'd be a bit.
Yeah, you have to hit that 1,600 word count every day. I kind of want to set this up because I am super guilty of like, does that line work? Let me read that 2 more times. And yeah, it's like
you gotta train yourself out of that. Keep that for editing.
Mm-hmm.
What my trick for tackling NanoWriMo so that I don't do that as I write and don't go back and edit is that I've mentioned before, I'm gonna be working on a manual typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
So unless I want to rewrite the whole page or keep physically moving the page up and down, it's just and this is what the professor that I work for sometimes taught me, just exit out and then keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Just rewrite that last word and just keep typing.
Yep, just keep going. Keep the line of consciousness going.
The stream of consciousness, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It definitely, I think for me, like I mentioned, I think last time that I've been putting together a playlist, definitely like getting the right mood in the room helps me stay focused in terms of like, okay, I've started writing, let's keep writing, let's not get up and like check the phone.
Oh yeah.
Throw the phone aside.
Yeah, I will. Okay, put your phone out of your view. Like, don't leave it in your periph. Put it somewhere behind you. Put it under a peripheral.
Is that a thing people are saying these days?
Totes. No, I don't know.
I have no idea. It just came out of my mouth, so that means I probably heard it at least once.
All right.
But yeah, I fucking put it under a pillow because I know for me, especially like if I'm just like working at the computer, editing or something, I will pause a lot just to look at my phone, and it's all it is just like, oh, what are some new tweets on my timeline, and that's it. It's nothing important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just getting in the way of productivity.
Hey,
it's because we all have ADHD in this day and age.
Yeah.
I actually do.
Yeah.
That was offensive.
I do want to hear
no.
from you, Ophelia. How do you stay focused?
How do I? Well, I don't. But so jot that down. But no, I mean music usually.
Yeah. That's a big one for me too.
I used to, for me, I kind of need some kind of background noise. Sometimes music can get too distracting, actually, for me, unfortunately. And so I will go to rainyday.com, I think it is, and just let the rain and thunder sound play.
I do like that too, just the rain. Just rain sounds.
Yep. So I think sometimes that can be helpful
that's
too.
A good white noise for me. I don't like actual white noise.
That can be annoying, depending. A lot of it, I feel like it's a matter of discipline, sheer will, setting up the right atmosphere, you know?
So especially since my answer with the actual ADHD here, it used to be drugs, but it ain't no mo. So now I have to, load the caffeine. I load up the caffeine, and I usually have to, lock myself in a room alone if I want to be focused on something I'm working on.
I do that too. And just in the sense that I try to, block away from family and just wait.
Yeah.
Please no interruptions.
Oh god.
Exactly.
Those people who can write in cafes, I'm just how?
I don't understand that shit at all.
Or I know one person's I'll get this writing done when I'm at my friend's house. And I'm like, no.
From my understanding,
I could not do that.
They don't actually write. They just go there to look cute in the cafe. And make it look like you're doing something. So that's probably what's going on there.
Oh
I could, if it was say rough planning for a story, I could see myself doing that at a cafe, but only if I was there alone. Because if I'm out in public alone, then there's already that automatic bubble that I put myself into.
Yep. Yeah.
But if I'm at, like, a cafe with a friend, if it's, say, if we're working on separate projects, like, the only reason I would work at a cafe and have someone there with me is because we're discussing the same story.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But anyway.
Exactly.
All right, do we have maybe any questions for each other on writing or what we're, If not, we're going to head over to... Silver Bullet News!
Okay, yeah.
Yay!
So welcome to Silver Bullet News, where we quickly highlight some recent bullet points or just quick headlines from the horror genre, usually in media or whatever, pretty much. We haven't done this in a while.
That's a trend.
First bullet! The first season of Shudder's Creep Show, their anthology series, has wrapped up as of October 31st. And because it did so well, it has already been greenlit for a second season. I haven't seen any of it. I like the original Creep Show anthologies. And so I've been meaning. It's on Shudder. Do you have that, Ophelia, with your satellite
I don't know.
channels?
With my satellite shit? I don't actually know.
You should look into that.
Yeah.
Because that would be actually something cool to watch for Halloween tomorrow. Well, yesterday, and for our listeners, but still tomorrow. Oh, time!
So you're like, time is some shit.
Yeah. So the last episode for the Shudder series was actually directed by Creepshow veteran Tom Savini on a story that was penned by Joe Hill. So that's kind of cool. I might do I know if you have Amazon, you can do like a 7-week free trial of Shudder, add it onto your like Amazon Prime or something. So I might do that in like binge days tomorrow. So we'll see. But that's exciting. If you like Creepshow, I just heard the series did really well, that it was really good, and I will personally be checking it out myself. If any listeners have already been watching, I would love to hear what you guys thought of it. You
let me know what you think of it.
I will. Next bullet,
Excellent.
moving on. From Netflix, they just announced, literally just announced a brand new vampire series.
What?
That will be streaming as of December 5th, so we got a little ways away, called V-Wars.
What? This doesn't sound good already.
It's based off of, I think, a series of books written by Jonathan Maberry's best-selling. I don't know the name of the series of books. My notes just say IDW books. But it's going to be a 10-episode series. It is about a doctor named Luther Swan, who his best friend is being transformed into a murderous predator who feeds on other humans. And he is, I don't...
Oh my god. I just looked this up. So it looks like they're the Buffy version of creepy vampires.
The what?
The creepy Buffy vampires, where they actually transform their face to look creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're not gonna be pretty vampires.
And also, fucking Ian Somerhalder. Yep, can't pronounce it, but of Vampire Diaries. Fame.
Oh, he's gonna be the doctor, Dr. Luther Swan, I believe.
Holy moly.
And then his best friend who transforms into the vampire is played by Adrian Holmes. I mean, I'll probably end up checking out the first episode, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of just laughing because, like I said, it's fun. It's like I watched Vampire Diaries until the last season, where it went way too off the rails for even me to like just handle at that point. But
I never watched Vampire Diaries.
Yeah,
it wasn't for me.
Yeah, but
yeah, me either.
Too straight, I would say.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
because I will say this. I will give it credit. It was actually it wasn't Twilight. Let me put it that way. There was some gore and violence that is like, this is not Twilight. But yeah, I'm intrigued by the idea that he can't get away from vampires. Apparently, he's just got to do.
Yeah, that's funny to me.
Yep, got to do another vampire series. So I canceled my Netflix subscription, so bleh.
The only reason I still have my Netflix subscription is because my mother watches things on there every night, and I let her log into my account. So she would get angry at me if I canceled it.
Yeah, to me, it's like I'll probably pay like the like $13 it is now or more just to watch She-Ra and Dragon Prince, and then cancel it again. They both come out. They both come out in November, so there you go.
Oh, dang.
Yep.
Okay, next bullet. Who here is a friend? Friend. Well, friend, yeah. I'll say friend. Friend and fan of the original Addams Family series. Because I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was more of a Munsters fan as a kid.
I liked that series. I liked that show a lot, too.
Yeah.
So if you don't already own all of the original Addams Family like I do, or have Amazon Prime where you can also find the episodes, apparently MGM has been uploading full episodes onto YouTube.
Oh, good for them.
So nice. If anyone wants to, binge some Addams Family for Halloween, that's an option for you.
That's
even though this episode's going out after Halloween. But you know what? For us, and for probably a good chunk of our listeners, Halloween is all year long. Okay?
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Also, recently, I think as the day of this recording, the Death Stranding trailer released.
Oh god, that's
I watched it. It's like a 6-minute trailer, almost.
Oh god.
7 minutes and 50 seconds is how long this trailer is.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm not like super invested in anything Kojima does. Guillermo is tied to this, so that's really been the only reason I've been paying attention to it. Is because Guillermo is tied to it in the fashion. But watching this trailer, I was almost as confused as I was watching The Lighthouse that came out recently.
Yeah.
So I mean, the game's set to come out November 8th.
Yeah, only on I think PlayStation 4 or the consoles, and then like it comes to PC in 2020 January or something. Mm-hmm. I will say one of the things that I'm curious to see what the response this game gets is, honestly, because one person said when it came to working with Kojima is the problem is he has too many outlandish ideas, and he has to be told no.
I can't.
But this time he didn't really have anybody to tell him no, so we'll see what happens. I
can't believe I'm surrounded by Kojima haters.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say we're haters. We're definitely not.
I've never
we're
played.
We're not the avid fans that I think.
Okay, well here's the deal. Metal Gear is gay as hell, and like one of the dudes that I work with, and I like one of my friends from work now, have just been like deconstructing how fucking gay Metal Gear is. Okay, so like, there's a lot to be appreciated about Kojima, and it's homoeroticism, and just absolute bullshit, nonsense, insanity.
Yeah,
but yeah, okay. I just had to get that out.
I mean,
I'm
I
love that, man.
Like Lorraine mentioned, he didn't have the limitations that he usually has. So in that sense, I'm very interested in what the story is.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's out.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to those sweet, sweet reviews.
Next bullet is, I only put this in here because it's Nicolas Cage related.
What? What's Nick too?
Nick has been cast and will be starring in a new film that is set to start production early next year. The film's going to be called Wally's Wonderland, which will be directed by Kevin Lewis. It is a horror film, and as reported by Deadline, it will be Nick will play a janitor forced to spend the night in a twisted amusement park where he is pulled into a living nightmare as the threatening animatronic characters come to life.
Oh no, it's fine.
The janitor has to fight his way from one monster to another to survive until morning to get out of the park.
It's fucking Five Nights at Freddy's.
God.
That's what it's
because they were making
but with Nicolas Cage. So
yeah, but with Nick Cage, and I feel like honestly that's what makes it like.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm just thrown because I thought they were doing a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So I'm curious. It's like, oh yeah, whatever happened to that? Because the fandom kind of died as far as I'm aware.
There are still plenty of like tiny children who are obsessed with it.
Okay, that's all that matters then.
And move on to just a couple movies that are off the top of my head because I didn't have a time to like really dig for what movies are coming out. I know in October, since we missed Silver Bullet news for October, we had Zombieland Double Tap came out. I don't know how that did. I haven't looked into it at all. And then we also had The Lighthouse that starred Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe together.
Yeah. He's got a weird name.
Mr. Dafoe.
Yeah. And I saw that last Saturday with my brother.
How was it? Because it looked neato.
I saw it with my brother and I saw it with Kai. And the three of us, in discussing the movie, came to the conclusion that we are incapable of discussing this movie with anyone who has not seen it.
Oh, that's funny.
Isn't that weird of a film?
There were a lot of older viewers in the theater with us. Like I think aside from like an older couple who brought their kids with them, we were the youngest viewers there, and there were a lot of people. There was a handful of people who got up and left at different times because I don't think this movie was what they thought it was.
What is it about?
I can't tell you.
What's it called?
The Lighthouse.
Okay.
I cannot tell you what this movie is about because I don't fully know, and I've seen it.
Oh no.
Yeah, but so that is out there, and I didn't hate it. I didn't regret going to see it. I'm just confused.
Man, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
So if anyone else out there has seen it, because I put this out to the creative horror, the rest of the creative horror crew, if anyone else sees this, please tell me what I saw.
Please explain it to me.
Should I just read the wiki and see if I can figure it out?
I think you should see it.
Yeah, I wanna.
For upcoming releases, I believe we have Knives Out coming out sometime this month in November.
That looks good.
I want to say the 14th, 13th maybe. That's off the top of my head. Also, next month, we have one called The Lodge. And that one comes out on the 15th. And the trailer looks interesting. It looks good. The reason I'm interested the most is because it's from the same people. I don't know if it's the same writers or same directors who did Goodnight Mommy. And that movie I watched, and it was thoroughly unsettling and just made me very uncomfortable, and I enjoyed that a lot, and so I'm interested in The Lodge. I think there's something else coming out this month for November that I cannot just Fallen Order for Star Wars fans. Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Wait, what?
But those aren't horror related. Okay. And that is it for Silver Bullet News. Thank you, listeners, for joining in on this very impromptu, kind of disorganized, casual episode. But hopefully we had some tidbits of knowledge from our own writing experiences that you can put to use. And wish us luck with NanoWriMo, and good luck to you if you're attempting it yourself. And you know what? If you've got a story that you really want to work on, just get it down on paper. Better that it, be written down and tucked away and then fading away in your head, because that happens a lot.
Yeah.
I do that so much.
Get it down. Don't have regrets about forgetting shit.
Get it down and then, work yourself up to getting it out there. No one's gonna tell your story the way you are.
Mm-hmm. And
True.
Fuck the haters.
Fuck the haters, yeah. Exactly like that. With that exact level of dedication to the hater fuckery.
The witching hour has come to an end. If you like our show, you can help support us by leaving a review, or subscribing, or just sharing us with a friend.
You can also find us on Twitter at Witch Hour Horror. If you're up to some horrifyingly creative things and want to talk about it on our podcast, feel free to reach out to us through email or Twitter, or visit us at creativehorror.com.
Want to support the show even more? Check out our Patreon, where you can get audio extras and bonus episodes.
Thank you for listening and spending your time with us, whatever your creative passion is, whether it's writing horror stories, very lewd fan fiction, anything you want. Get out there and do it because it makes you happy. Don't hold back because you're anxious of whether it's good or not. Just get it down on the page. And we hope that you'll join us next time for The Witching Hour.